The whole problem with the world is that fools and fanatics are always so certain of themselves, and wiser people so full of doubts. Bertrand Russell.
Empowerment and education, two powerful elements that will help you break free of convention and transform your passion for wellness to a level beyond the status quo. The Essential Oil Revolution, where you're given the tools to supersede an ordinary everyday lifestyle. Inspiring speakers, DIY recipes, healthy living tips, and more. You'll discover it all here. So tune in and get ready for a wellness revolution. For show notes and more, go to revolutionoils.com/podcast.
Hey there, revolutionaries. How are you all doing today? This is Samantha Lee right here, and I am inserting this message into this episode. It was ready to go, ready to launch. I'm actually talking to you on a Sunday, and the episode you're about to listen to is ready to go on Monday. And I decided, you know what, I really need to go back and add this message in here because I really, honestly, wasn't expecting this. I have to say thank you. I have to just share my intense gratitude that I have for all of you listening in because we launched the podcast just this past Monday. And after 5 days of being live on iTunes, we've had over 500 downloads, and we've had over 20 reviews that you guys have left for us on iTunes. And I'm getting a little teary over here because I just, I don't know what to say. I'm so thankful and so grateful to have you all listening in. And I really wasn't expecting to have so many listeners so soon. And it just makes me so grateful to have you all here with me. So I had to just come back and add this little message in because you guys are awesome. And I'm just so thrilled to have you listening, and I want you to know that. I wanted to share just one of the reviews that you guys have left on iTunes for the show. This one just made my day. So thank you, Jen Hudson, who wrote, "The show is excellent." I'm going to skip the part here where she talks about how good of a speaker I am because I can't say that I agree and it makes me blush. But she goes on to write, "I've listened to show number 1, Intro to Oils, 4.5 times now. It's been on repeat because it's that good. I've been using oils for over a year and I'm learning a ton of new things. The way she explains the oily life is one I want to model in my own Young Living business. I've already shared this podcast with my team and have been linking it on the Young Living Facebook groups. Such good stuff. Thank you for doing this." So thank you, Jen Hudson. That really made my day because that's what this show is all about. It's about the entire world, not even just Young Living, but the entire world of health and wellness, and sharing the show with your listeners, sharing it with your team. That's what it's here for. We're here to just educate everyone that wants to get started with oils, that wants to start living a healthier life, because we're all in this together. I'm in here with you. I tell you, this show keeps me accountable. It helps me make those good choices and strive for a healthier lifestyle because it's hard. I struggle with it every day to make those good decisions. And so for me, it's such an honor to be doing this show because it keeps me motivated and it keeps me accountable. Because I feel like now I've got you guys, you're here with me, and you motivate me to make those good choices. So thanks, Jen Hudson. Thank you all for sharing the show. You can share it to if you run a Young Living business, share it with your team, share it with your customers. If you don't, that's fine. Share it with your friends. Everyone is welcome here. On the Essential Oil Revolution. It's just all about health. It's all about wellness, and it's all about you and inspiring you to go out there and strive for that radiant, healthy lifestyle that you deserve, that we all deserve. Okay, so I wanted to also add in this little message here because a lot of you have been saying that you really want to enter into the giveaway that we have going on. You really want to leave a review, enter the giveaway because we're giving away lots of awesome prizes during the launch, but you've had kind of a difficult time doing that, and you're not alone. Trust me, iTunes for some reason makes it very difficult to leave a review for them. So I wanted to sort of explain how that worked for those of you that have been having trouble, so that you can get your name into the giveaway, because we're giving away lots of fun stuff. Just this week, we gave out the ULA book, which if you haven't listened to episode number 3 with the ULA guys, it was awesome, and they inspired me to give away a free ULA book for someone that is winning the contest this week. And we also gave away a free bottle of orange essential oil, which is everyone's favorite, one of our favorites, and a travel keychain case for carrying your oils everywhere. So that was just this past week. This week, we're giving away a beautiful diffuser necklace, as well as some essential oil samples. And then later in the launch, we're giving away diffusers, we're giving away books. So the sooner you get your name in the contest, the more chances you have to win, because we're going to keep your name in there for every week that we draw. So to enter the contest, all you have to do is leave us a review on iTunes, and then let us know what name you used on your iTunes review. So the easiest way to do this is to do it on a computer. So if you're on a computer, just go to revolutionoils.com/podcast, or just go to revolutionoils.com and then click on the podcast button. And then there's a banner there for the giveaway. Click on that, and it's got step-by-step instructions on how to do it. And it's very easy to do if you're on a computer. Now, if you're not on a computer, as so many of us are in this digital age, and all you have is your phone, you can still leave a review. But here's the tricky part. You can't leave a review if you're already listening to the show. Like the show, you're already subscribed to it, shows up in your list of shows. Don't go there. What you have to do is you pull up the podcast app, and then you hit on the search button. Hit on the search button and then enter in Essential Oil Revolution. And then a couple options will show up, and then you click on, tap on where our show shows up. It's got a purple album cover. Click on that, and then click on reviews, then click on leave a review, and then you can leave a review from there. So that's the tricky part. You can't do it if you're already listening to this episode, you can't do it from here. You have to go back to open up the podcast app again, and then click on the search button, which is in the bottom right-hand corner. Find the show through the search, click on the show, and then click on reviews, and then leave a review from there. So it's very easy to do that way. Now, the only other tricky part is we won't know how to find you unless you send us an email and let us know what name you used in your review. So while you've got your phone out, after you leave a review, open up whatever email app that you use on your phone, and then send an email to revolutionoilspodcast@gmail.com. That's Revolution Oils Podcast. Podcast does not have an S on the end. It's just singular, podcast. Revolution Oils Podcast @gmail.com. In the subject line, type in review. And in the body, just let us know what name you used on your iTunes review. That way we can get your name into the contest sooner than later. We're going to be giving away stuff for the next 7 weeks. So the sooner you get your name in, the more chances you have to win. So get your name in there soon. So today's episode, I'm so happy that you're tuning in for. It's a really important episode that I think sort of sets up a lot of the episodes that are going to come. For today's episode, I invited Dr. Jim Bob Haggerton on the show. And for those who don't know him already, he is just an amazing young living leader. If you're not following him, he's on Periscope. He does such amazing educational little teaching seminars on Periscope, and he's all over the place, and he's such an enthusiastic leader. And I asked him to come on the show today to talk about essential oil safety and particularly the myths and the misconceptions that are out there surrounding safety and essential oils, especially when it comes to kids, which is something that you'll hear him talk about. He's very passionate about children and safety and essential oils. This episode, we had to break it into 2 parts because it's just such an intense topic and something we really wanted to dive into. So for this first part, he's going to talk about just sort of the general concepts behind essential oils and how they work in the body and how to use them safely. And then in the second part, he really breaks down the quote unquote studies that are out there that talk about essential oil safety or dangers. And he sort of talks about some of the sensationalized blog articles that are out there that people have been getting really scared of their oils from. When they read these articles, they're like, oh no, these oils aren't safe, I can't use them. So in the show, Dr. Jim Bob breaks those articles down step by step and sort of goes through how to look at those articles, how to read them in an unbiased light, and how to really look at the studies that are done to determine if essential oils truly are safe or if they're dangerous. Now, I think you guys already know my answer to this, and his answer is going to be yes, they are very safe. But we want you to understand why, and we want you to understand that when you read these sensationalized blog articles that are scaring you away from using your essential oils, there's usually a reason behind it. And it's not malicious. They're not trying to just scare you, because they're trying to up their blog, list. Well, sometimes they are, but in the most part, it's just a matter of background. It's a matter of where they learned about essential oils. And so we'll get into all of that and more in this very special 2-part episode on the essential oil revolution. Well, here we go, revolutionaries. Today, we have a fantastic episode here for you. I have with me wellness expert, Dr. Jim Bob Haggerton. Dr. Jim Bob is a chiropractor living and working out of the Lifetime Wellness Family Center in Hurst, Texas. He works in partnership with his wife, Cindy, where they both work to help families achieve wellness. In particular, they love working with pregnant moms and kids because they believe it is at this level that we can begin to change our country's continuing downward spiral as the sickest country in the world. Dr. Jim Bob, welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Great. Well, please fill in any gaps I might have left out of the intro and then explain what you'll be sharing with us today.
I don't think there's any gaps. You pretty much covered it. We're just passionate about function. I'm passionate about teaching families how the body's created and that they're created for optimal health. 100 days out of 100. And, that's something I think people are really missing. Today we're going to talk about essential oil safety is the main thing we really want to go over and talk to people about the fact that essential oils are safe for adults and for kids. And that's what we're really going to cover.
Great. Now, I've heard you talk about this topic before, and it's something I know you're really passionate about. How did you become so passionate about this topic? I feel like there's a good story here.
So Cindy and I have been involved with Young Living essential oils for about the past 8 years. But as far as recommending them across the board and really using them for protocols in the office and traveling and teaching on them, we've been involved in that realm of it for about the past 3.5 to 4 years. And so the topic of essential oil safety, the reason that had come to a head and become a big passion of mine and something I'd started teaching on was back in the spring of this year of 2015, there were 2 or 3 blogs that came out that were actually saying that essential oils weren't safe. And one of the titles of one of the main blogs that really went viral said essential oils can cause seizures in kids. And that was the blatant title. And so, I'm super passionate about kids. I love adults, but I really love kids. So my thing is, I'm like, as an adult, if you want to do dumb stuff for yourself or whatever, then you're an adult and you can make your own decisions. But when people start really messing with kids, then I really get lit up. So I was like, well, that's ridiculous. And I got mad about it, really. And I came home and Cindy was kind of laughing about this at this point, because even though I've taught for years and I've done public speaking for years and years, she and I working together, I had not really at this point back in February, whenever this was, really started engaging into our business together and teaching on essential oils per se. So I came home and wrote a whole conference call class on essential oil safety, refuting all of these blogs. And we baited everybody into the call saying it was going to be about a 30, 45-minute call when I had already pretty much knew I was going to go for at least 2 to 2.5 hours because I had so much stuff because I was so lit up. So we got them all in, hooked them with the topic. I talked for 2 hours, and that's really where it started. I mean, and I did this call that kind of went all over the place, and here we are. Now I'm talking to you about it. So there you go.
Yeah, it was actually exactly that call that made me realize I have to get him on the show because this guy knows what he's talking about. He's not messing around. Yeah, and I really appreciated, the way that you really broke down the studies that those bloggers had referenced, and also how you left it kind of open, like, this is a decision that you need to make and something that you as the user should be really looking into, and not
Exactly.
not just taking that blogger's word for it, not just taking your word for it even too. So
Right.
yeah, I really like how you present it. So I'll just go ahead and dive in and ask you, some of the most frequently asked questions I get when sharing essential oils. So the main one I hear a lot is, essential oils, they're so potent, they're so concentrated. Doesn't that make them unsafe for the body?
No, it doesn't make them unsafe at all. Now, does it make it to where you need to be more cautious about adding them in, especially if you have not done it? Yes. And here's the context that I normally tell patients and when I'm traveling and teaching. If a patient comes to me and they have never done any kind of detox, they've never really used supplements, they're generally unhealthy anyways, and they're coming to me to try to get on this path, then them starting on essential oils, and even talking just adults to start with, them starting on essential oils are potent and do create really quick change, positive change, correct change all the time because of the way that the frequencies of those oils work. So yeah, they get a lot of change really fast. So I teach them right off the bat to go slow, to dilute the oils a lot more at the beginning than they would really have to later on using a carrier oil, which is a fatty oil, just to make the essential oil less potent on the skin, but the frequencies are still effective. And so, they're completely safe. It's just that what I find, the only reason that people will ever have any kind of reactions, whether it's irritation to the skin or, any detox reactions at all, is because they haven't used them ever, or at least haven't used therapeutic grade, or they're in a really bad health spot, and then they just use a ton of them and they go overboard, and they're using, neat straight oils on their skin and never, and they just go out of bounds on it. So they are completely 100% safe. It's just that the mode of using them, people aren't 100% safe. So I think that's more the problem overall. So
yeah, good points. Now, can you speak to maybe the function of the liver in all of this? Because I have that question come up too of, how can the liver process these oils? And I think from the outside, when you think of like, oh yeah, really potent stuff, like what's that going to do to my liver? And then people kind of get scared and they don't even want to look into it anymore.
Sure, absolutely. Well, it's a different process. So the liver processes nutrients that you take into your body, but its main issue that it has in converting certain things you put in your body is from toxic standpoint. So, like for example, if you're using cholesterol medication or aspirin, or you're eating a lot of sugar or whatever, you're doing something to the body that it's not designed to handle. The liver has a hard time processing that, and it can create damage. And your liver enzymes will go up, which is just kind of a flag or a check engine light that the liver is being overloaded, because it has a hard time converting toxins, and it will stack them inside the liver, and you could create stress and overload. Essential oils don't work that way, at least when you're talking about a therapeutic grade oil from Young Living, because when you're looking at the frequency of the oil and the way that it works, let's talk about a topical application, right? So let's say someone uses a topical oil like lavender as a topical oil, and they rub it on their skin. Well, the oils are fat soluble. So what happens is it doesn't go through the exact same pathway as everything else that you put in your body. Typically on a toxic standpoint, let's talk about like the example we used a second ago on either the medication or a dietary toxin. Well, it's going to go through the stomach. It has to get processed through the liver because it's a part of that pathway before it actually gets into the intestines and into the bowels to get flushed out of your system. So it's just like on that road that it has to go through. Well, from an essential oil standpoint, if you're using like our example of lavender, that essential oil being fat soluble soaks through the skin, gets into the bloodstream because it can cross that blood-brain barrier and it can get into the vessels quickly. And then the body utilizes the frequency and takes it where it needs to go. The liver is aware of it, and the liver gets to actually it's active in the process, but it doesn't have to filter it. Does that make sense? It's a totally different process.
Mm-hmm.
It's not having to filter out the frequency of the oil because the oil frequencies are a natural substance you're putting in, and it's helping the body. So it's not a stressor on the liver, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
It's like you're not gonna eat so many strawberries that all of a sudden your liver stops working.
Right.
That doesn't happen. Or you're not gonna eat so much lettuce that, oh my gosh, my liver enzymes are high because of all that spinach and lettuce I ate. What is wrong? That doesn't happen. And essential oils are in that same boat.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Now, how about the oils that you take internally? Especially I hear a lot of controversy over the citrus oils like lemon and orange, taking them, drinking them in water, for example, and how that might have an effect on, the esophagus or the stomach lining. What are your insights on there?
The only times I've seen anyone have any problems with it were people who already had issues to begin with that the oils activated and started working on. Then they had a symptom from it. So, for example, let's say that they were taking lemon essential oil and putting it into their water. Or even, let's say peppermint, but let's just use it because peppermint's so strong. So, everyone who is in using essential oils has heard of the conversion of 1 drop of peppermint oil is equivalent to roughly 26 bags of peppermint tea.
Mm-hmm.
So peppermint's potent. Well, and it's a hotter oil. So let's say that, Samantha, you come into the office and you are in your healing journey and you have a really overloaded toxic liver, and you add in peppermint or a citrus oil like lemon or citrus fresh. Well, all of those oils will create a detox reaction inside the body because their whole function is in increasing normal and decreasing abnormal, decreasing bad. That's just like anything else. Like if you eat a ton of spinach, again, using that as an example, you're increasing oxygen, increasing normal to your body, but you're also decreasing bad, and your system has to figure out what to do with all of those toxins. So since the majority of toxins will get stored in the liver when it's processing through dietary wise, then if you take a citrus oil and you add it in orally, it's not going to damage the liver because, again, it's, you're not going to damage the liver with strawberries or spinach. But the difference in an essential oil or a citrus oil is they will start to get out all of the bad that's in the liver and will start to activate function. And it can stress the liver out if it's already toxic and this person is already having a lot of issues. And so, the liver enzymes going up, like on a lab test, doesn't necessarily mean that there's damage going on. It means that the liver is working, and it's having to do something. So, my response to that always is, well, you're not causing damage to the liver, but is it going to have to work overtime to detoxify? Yeah, maybe, in a certain group of people. Are, citrus oils going to be more irritating to some people's esophagus or some people's stomach lining if they already have irritation on the lining, they're deficient in essential fatty acids, they're already eating too much sugar, they're in high stress environments, which will create ulcer formation and stuff like that? Yeah, it totally can. Yeah, for sure. But the essential oil isn't going to create that damage. But could it be irritating to someone who already has health challenges? Yes, for sure. So again, that person, if that patient comes into me and they say to me, oh, I have, esophageal reflux, I have this, and then they're like, I want to take these oils and those things are going on in their system, then I say, okay, well, if you're taking these oils and you have those things, then you need to really dilute them. And sometimes I don't recommend them to start with that. I recommend them to start with a oil for, either diffusing or for topical application.
Everyone's different. Everyone has their body and they're starting from different places, and we can't just put this blanket statement over,
exactly.
This is good, this is bad for everyone, because that's not how the world works.
Well, it's definitely not it's how part of the world works, but it's not how science and physiology works. And one of the things, I know you've heard me say this before, but one of my things, and I talked about it in that, that safety call, was science is not math. Like, the thing that people get confused on is, science and math are two totally different things. So mathematics, like 1 + 1 is 2. Like if you add 5 + 5, it's 10, just because we created that. Like humans said, okay, if I add 1 and 1, then we're going to call that 2. And so it's just a law. That's what it is. Well, in science and in physiology, you're dealing with creation. Like you're dealing with genetics, you're dealing with different stressors and environment. And like you said, every person is different and how they respond to things is different. I mean, you and I, Samantha, could walk in to a Starbucks and we could both experience the exact same thing within the Starbucks, whether the people that were in there, the people behind the counter, we could get the exact same drink and each of us could have a completely different response. Well, we would both have a completely different response because our bodies and our systems are completely different. And so that applies to essential oils even double time. But, people are like, oh my gosh, they're 100% safe all the time. They are 100% safe, but if you use them incorrectly or you have something going on, of course you could have a reaction to it, just like with different fruits or anything else for that matter.
Wow, Dr. Haggerton, this topic has been super important. I think that there's so much that we've just begun to scratch the surface of. Okay, I propose, if you're up for it, we give our listeners just a little break, let them digest everything we've talked about, and then have you back for part 2 episode to go a little more in depth. How do you feel about that?
I'd love that. Let's do it.
So much to digest here, and we're kind of running out of time, so we decided to split this into 2 parts, and the next part is going to just lay it all out. It gets a little heated, it's a little bit juicy, but if you're connecting with what Dr. Jim Bob has to say so far, you're really going to love what he has to say in part 2. Here's just a little teaser for you to let you know what this next episode's going to be about.
And that's really it. And people really just don't trust themselves, though. And I think that society and the media and the medical profession has created this lie that you can't trust yourself because you don't know enough. And, the natural healthcare realm and in my whole industry, we've done a horrible job at educating people that they can't.
All right, so I'll see you folks on part 2 of this episode with Dr. Jim Bob Haggerton. And don't forget, if you're listening in real time, during the podcast launch, we are celebrating by giving away lots of oily swag. So you can win oils, you can win diffusers, you can win books. All you have to do is write an honest review for us on iTunes. And when I say honest, I say be honest. Let us know, how are we doing? What do you want to hear more of? How long? Is it too long? Is it too short? Let us know what we're doing, and we will deliver. This show is for you. So let us know what you want to hear more of. Leave us an honest review and put your name in the pot to win some oily swag. Go to revolutionoils.com/podcast for all the details.